Welcome to Astrodology, the podcast that brings you knowledge, wisdom, and principles that can help you find the peace and comfort we all seek and deserve in our lives. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Astrodology with Astrid. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I revisit the conversation about spirituality. This is part 2. Spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, and it typically involves a search for meaning in life. This thought comes from All About Spirituality. Spirituality extends beyond an expression of religion or practice of religion. There is a pursuit for a spiritual dimension that not only inspires, but creates harmony with the universe. That relationship between ourselves and something greater compels us to seek answers about the infinite. During times of intense emotional, mental, or physical stress, man searches for transcendent meaning, oftentimes through nature, music, the arts, or a set of philosophical beliefs. This often results in a broad set of principles that transcends all religions. In this part 2 of spirituality, I want to dive more into the soul. It is said that the soul is comprised of 3 parts: the mind, the will, and the emotions. The mind is the center of the soul. We all have probably heard the words heart and soul. The heart is considered the seat of the soul. Our feelings are in our soul. Your decision-making power is in your soul, and your thinking bank is also in your soul, which makes the soul the most important part of your life. The battle of life is the soul of man. The soul receives from the senses and deposits into the spirit. The spirit then now has to deal with this information. Your soul then takes it and deposits it in our spirits, so you have to be careful about what's going to be deposited. The soul reveals its soul through our bodies, and then the spirit then gives direction to the soul to tell the body what to do. Sometimes the body does not want to do what the spirit wants to do, so the soul then comes into a mental battle. Faith comes by hearing the body, but the body says, "No, I like how it feels." So the spirit tells the soul to tell the body to stop it, but the spirit is downloading junk that is starving it to death. The soul could decide to accept or reject, and that is the power of the soul. The body can only do what the soul makes it do. The soul can only do what it accepts from the spirit. The soul feeds the spirit and receives from the spirit. The only way to be free of any habit is to have a replacement of habits to download new information. Man is spirit. He lives in a body and possesses a soul. The human will is so powerful that the Creator does not control it. There is one thing that God does not control on earth, and that is our human will. Why is this? The very nature of will implies self-control, and God gave you the power of will. The will controls the destiny of man. Your will is the agency of the King of God's administration. When God created the world, He wanted it to be administered through your will. The problem is you aren't aware that your will is yours. The most dangerous gift God ever gave man is the will, and it is the most precious gift that we have. God intended us to use the will of man to fulfill his will on earth. God wanted to use your will for his will. But the problem is, the will gives you the power to choose, even against the will of the one who gave you the will. What a conundrum, right? When you remember that you're a spiritual being, that God alone is the source of your power, and that the universe is inherently designed to provide for your needs, then you are thinking in a miracle-minded way. You are exercising dominion over the mortal plane by remembering you are not of it. You will find yourself living in an enchanted universe. You'll just happen to be seated next to someone on an airplane who is destined to be your new best friend. You'll just happen to think of some fabulous new project and attain effortless success in some non-traditional way. You'll just happen to meet someone in line at Starbucks who makes a casual comment that completely rocks your world. Why is this? Because there is a realm of infinite creativity that exists beyond the mortal mind, yet within the mind of God. This is not fantasy, but rather the spiritual reality of the universe. If you choose not to believe this is your choice. If you choose to believe it, that is your miracle. Spirituality is much wider than any particular religion, and in the larger ideas of it that are now coming on us, even against the greatest religion, becomes no more than a broad sect or branch of the one universal religion by which we shall all understand in the future man seeking for the eternal, the divine, the greater self, the source of unity, and his attempt to arrive at some equation, some increasing approximation of the values of human life with the eternal and the divine values. This was said by Sri Aurobindo. For me, spirituality includes the belief in things larger than ourselves, an appreciation of nature and beauty, a sensitivity to the world, a feeling shared connection with other living things, a desire to help people less fortunate than ourselves. All of these things can occur with or without God. I do not believe in the existence of God, but I consider myself a spiritual person in the manner I have just described. I call myself a spiritual atheist. I would imagine that many people are spiritual atheists, said Alan Lightman. So the soul is connected to our spirit and our bodies. This is why overwhelmingly we hear body, mind, and spirit. And as I've said before, spirit comes from the Latin root spiritus. Spiritus means to breathe. We need breath in order for the body to function. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Spirituality as we dove a little deep into what the soul means. I hope you found value in this podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much, and blessings, love, and light on your journey as we go forward into our lives. Namaste. Thank you for listening to Astrodology. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help support the podcast, please hit the subscribe button and tell your friends about it by sharing this program on social media. You can also follow me on Instagram at Coda Life Goddess or at CodaLife.com. Coda is C-O-T-A, Coda Life Goddess or CodaLife.com. Thank you again for listening to Astrodology, and I'll see you next time.